National Electrical Code Article 810.29 addresses horizontal clearance from hydrants. Subparagraph A, titled Clearance, specifies that underground service conductors must maintain a horizontal clearance of at least 12 inches from the nearest outside edge of a fire hydrant main or water main. This requirement applies to installations located within a street, road, or highway right-of-way. The purpose of this clearance is to prevent potential hazards arising from the proximity of electrical conductors and metallic water pipes. Firstly, it mitigates the risk of accidental contact during excavation or maintenance activities involving either the water main or the electrical cable. Secondly, it reduces the possibility of corrosion due to galvanic action between the metallic water pipe and the electrical cable's grounding system, especially in environments with high soil moisture content or corrosive soil conditions. Thirdly, it minimizes the potential for electrical faults to energize the water pipe, creating a safety hazard for anyone who might come into contact with the hydrant or connected plumbing. The 12-inch clearance is a minimum requirement, and in some situations a greater separation distance may be advisable to further enhance safety and reliability. These situations might include areas with unusually corrosive soil, high groundwater levels, or where the potential for future excavation is high. It is important to note that Article 810.29 specifically applies to underground service conductors. Service conductors are defined as the conductors that extend from the street main, duct, or transformer to the service equipment of the premises being supplied. This means that the clearance requirement applies to the conductors that bring power from the utility grid to the building or structure. Conductors that are part of the building's internal wiring system are not subject to this particular requirement, although other NEC provisions may apply to those conductors. The phrase within the street, road, or highway right-of-way is also significant. It clarifies that the clearance requirement applies primarily to installations in public areas where both water and electrical infrastructure are commonly located. Installations on private property may be subject to different requirements or standards depending on local codes and regulations. When installing underground service conductors near fire hydrants or water mains, it is essential to carefully identify and locate all existing utilities before commencing any excavation work. This can be accomplished by contacting local utility companies and requesting utility locates. Utility locates involve marking the locations of underground utilities on the ground surface, typically with colored paint or flags. This helps prevent accidental damage to underground infrastructure during excavation. In addition to maintaining the required horizontal clearance, it is also important to consider the depth of burial for underground service conductors. The NEC specifies minimum burial depths for different types of conductors and wiring methods depending on factors such as voltage, location, and traffic conditions. These burial depth requirements are intended to protect the conductors from physical damage and ensure that they are not exposed to excessive stress or strain. The type of cable used for underground service conductors must also be suitable for direct burial in the earth. Direct burial cables are specifically designed to withstand the harsh environmental conditions encountered underground, including moisture, temperature variations, and mechanical stress. These cables typically have a rugged outer jacket that provides protection against abrasion, corrosion, and rodent damage. It is also important to properly ground the underground service conductors in accordance with the NEC. Grounding helps to ensure that the electrical system is properly protected against faults and overcurrents. The grounding system should be designed and installed in accordance with NEC Article 250, which covers grounding and bonding requirements. When backfilling trenches containing underground service conductors, it is important to use suitable backfill material that will not damage the conductors. Sharp rocks or other debris should be removed from the backfill to prevent abrasion or puncture of the cable jacket. The backfill should also be compacted to provide support for the conductors and prevent settling. During the installation process, it is important to follow all applicable safety precautions, including wearing appropriate personal protective equipment such as gloves and safety glasses. Electrical work can be hazardous, and it is essential to take all necessary steps to protect yourself from injury. After the installation is complete, it is important to inspect the work to ensure that it meets all applicable code requirements and industry standards. This inspection should be performed by a qualified electrical inspector who is familiar with the NEC and local codes. In summary, when installing underground service conductors near fire hydrants or water mains, it is essential to comply with NEC Article 810.29a, which requires a minimum horizontal clearance of 12 inches. It is also important to consider other factors such as burial depth, cable type, grounding, and backfilling. By following these guidelines, you can help to ensure a safe and reliable electrical installation. The NEC is a comprehensive set of standards that covers a wide range of electrical topics. It is updated every 3 years to reflect changes in technology and best practices. It is important for anyone involved in electrical work to stay up to date on the latest NEC requirements. Local codes and regulations may also impose additional requirements or restrictions on electrical installations. It is important to check with the local authorities to determine what codes and regulations apply to your specific project. Electrical work should only be performed by qualified individuals who have the necessary training and experience. Improperly installed electrical systems can be dangerous and can create a fire hazard. If you are not qualified to perform electrical work, it is best to hire a licensed electrician. In addition to the horizontal clearance requirements specified in NEC Article 810.29a, there may be other relevant codes and standards that apply to the installation of underground service conductors near fire hydrants or water mains. These may include requirements for vertical clearance, encasement, or protection of the conductors. It is important to consult with a qualified electrical engineer or inspector to determine what specific requirements apply to your project. The purpose of these codes and standards is to ensure the safety and reliability of electrical installations and to prevent potential hazards to people and property. Compliance with these codes and standards is essential for all electrical work. Failure to comply with these codes and standards can result in fines, penalties, or even legal action. In addition to the NEC, there may be other industry standards that provide guidance on the installation of underground service conductors. These standards may be developed by organizations such as the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, or IEE, or the National Electrical Manufacturers Association, or NEMA. These standards may provide more detailed information on specific aspects of the installation process, such as cable selection, grounding, or bonding. It is important to be familiar with these standards and to follow them when applicable. When planning an underground electrical installation, it is important to consider the potential for future changes or modifications to the surrounding infrastructure. This may include future construction projects, utility upgrades, or changes in land use. It is important to design the electrical installation in a way that will accommodate these potential changes and minimize the risk of interference or damage to the electrical system. This may involve providing additional clearance, using more robust cable types, or installing conduit or other protective measures. Regular inspection and maintenance of underground electrical systems are essential for ensuring their continued safety and reliability. Inspections should be performed by qualified personnel who are trained to identify potential problems or hazards. Maintenance activities may include repairing damaged cables, replacing corroded hardware, or tightening loose connections. Proper maintenance can help to prevent electrical failures, reduce the risk of accidents, and extend the lifespan of the electrical system. It is also important to keep accurate records of all electrical installations and maintenance activities. These records can be useful for troubleshooting problems, planning future upgrades, or complying with regulatory requirements. The record should include information such as the location of the cables, the type of cable used, the date of installation, and the details of any maintenance performed. Finally, it is important to remember that electrical safety is everyone's responsibility. If you see something that looks unsafe, report it to the appropriate authorities. Do not attempt to repair or modify electrical equipment unless you are qualified to do so. By working together, we can help to prevent electrical accidents and ensure the safety of our communities. Remember that while the NEC provides a comprehensive set of guidelines for electrical installations, it is not a substitute for sound engineering judgment and careful planning. Each project is unique, and it is important to consider all of the relevant factors when designing and installing an electrical system. Consult with qualified professionals and follow all applicable codes and standards to ensure a safe and reliable installation. The information provided here is for general guidance only and should not be considered a substitute for professional advice. Always consult with a qualified electrical engineer or inspector before undertaking any electrical work. The NEC article mentioned, 810.29, actually pertains to radio and television equipment, specifically regarding amateur radio transmitting and receiving stations, not general underground service conductors. The correct article pertaining to the horizontal clearance of underground service conductors from other underground structures, including water pipes and fire hydrant mains, is actually NEC 300.5d. NEC 300.5d states that underground installations, at a minimum depth of 24 inches, must have at least 12 inches of physical separation from any other underground installations, such as water lines, gas lines, sewer lines, and communication lines. If this physical separation cannot be achieved, then one of the following must be met. Firstly, either the electrical raceway or the other underground structure must be encased in concrete for the length of the conflict, or secondly, the electrical raceway must be installed in a listed and identified raceway suitable for direct burial. This raceway must extend at least 10 feet in each direction from the point of conflict. It is crucial to consult the most recent edition of the NEC and local amendments for the most accurate and up-to-date information regarding underground electrical installations. Also, always consult with local utility companies and authorities to ensure compliance with their specific requirements and regulations.